Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. I've been doing a series where I've been looking at popular and powerful endgame unique items for a while, and I think it's time to cover Presence of Chayula. Presence of Chayula is an amulet, and it is both a drop anywhere unique and tied to breach content. And we'll get to how that works when we talk about acquisition of the item. So, what does Presence of Chayula do? Firstly, it's an onyx amulet, so it gives you a small chunk of attributes. That's not the reason you're using it. Secondly, it grants you rarity of items found. Again, this is not the reason you're using it. It's a welcome bonus, but it's not even all that important a one. The three mods that follow are the ones that are the reason you're using it. Firstly, 60% to chaos resistance. This is a huge chunk of resistance to get on one single item slot. You can match this nowadays with an amethyst ring of Bamoth, but it is still a massive amount to get in one spot. Secondly, there is cannot be stunned. This just cannot be understated how important this is for a lot of characters. And one of the reasons that this is really important is that builds that balance life and energy shield, which is what this item is for hybrid builds, they tend to be quite weak to stuns. The reason for this is that your chance to be stunned by an enemy hit is heavily impacted by your life total and what percentage of your life total the enemy's hit represents. And so with Presence of Chayula being designed for builds that have a fairly low life pool and a massive energy shield pool, being immune to stun is tremendous. Lastly, we have the really interesting line. 20% of your maximum life is converted to energy shield. So this means that all of those items that are granting you, say, 120 life on a body armor, maybe you've got 60 life on a set of boots or whatever, 20% of that is converted to energy shield. And the way that this works, it is then scaled by both increases to life and to energy shield from your passive tree. So this can be really good as well. Ultimately, what you want Presence of Chayula on is a build that is mostly focused on scaling energy shield, but that wants to have some life as well. And this can be used in conjunction with going low life. So a low life build uses various methods to reserve auras against their life. The unique shield Prism Guardian is a really good choice for how to do this. And then when you've got energy shield reserved, when you've got life reserved, you can then activate the really powerful Keystone passive, one which I don't take on my build, Pain Attunement. So Pain Attunement grants you 30% more spell damage when you're at low life, and that's just tremendous on a low life build. Like, that's a massive multiplier to all of the spell damage that you're doing. So that's some of the reasons that you might use Presence of Chayula. How do you go about getting this item? It's a two-piece acquisition process. The first one is you're going to need to find the unique amulet Eye of Chayula. Eye of Chayula is a drop anywhere unique, and it is believed to be in the same rarity tier as Soul Mantle and a bunch of other what's termed tier 3 rarity uniques. The unique ring Pyre. At the time I'm recording this video, the unique ring Snake Pit. All these are things that you'll pick up a couple of times per 1,000 maps in my experience. They're rare, but they're not staggeringly rare. And in a trade league, they're pretty easy to go for. Additionally, these are the sort of uniques that you can target with chance orbs, and that it is pretty reasonable to hit an Eye of Chayula just by chancing every Onyx amulet that you come across. So that's the first piece. The second piece is a Blessing of Chayula. Blessing of Chayula is an item like a currency item that drops from Chayula. So just from Chayula that dreamt, which is the boss of the Chayula Breachstones. If you're running Chayula's normal Breachstones, I believe it to be about a 40 or 50% drop chance. If you're running Chayula's pure Breachstones, I believe it to be 100%. And if you're running Enriched and Charged, it's somewhere in between. Alternately, if you're in a trade league, you can pick up the base item for about 5 chaos and the upgrade token for about 30 chaos at the time that I am recording this video. And as always, prices are very subject to change. Prices for anything in Path of Exile can be really volatile, as we have seen with my last video on Abyss stacking, causing a lot of those Abyss Sextant rolls to go up in price a lot on the secondary market. So that's how you get your hands on this. Now, a couple of other questions that come up. How should you craft it further from here? So the first thing to note is that you can use Blessed Orbs to get 16 to all attributes. Do this after you apply the Blessing of Chayula, because the items that mod will be re-rolled even though the Eye of Chayula is an Onyx amulet as well, when you do apply the Blessing of Chayula, it's transformed into a new item, and so that means that the old the old implicit mod is re-rolled as though a Blessed Orb was used on it. So just apply your Blessed Orbs once you've got the Presence of Chayula sorted. Secondly, Catalyst can improve the item. And really, you've got two good choices here. I mean, you could use Attribute Catalyst, but they're just not going to give you very much bang for your buck. You either want to scale up the Chaos Resistance, or you want to scale up the Life Converted to Energy Shield. And which one you do is entirely up to you. I would probably suggest that most players would get more by scaling up the Chaos Resistance to 72%, but if your build wants to scale up the 20% life conversion to 24% instead, then definitely go ahead and do that. The next thing to note is that being an amulet, it is a pretty good slot for corruptions, and in particular for 2 implicit corruption. So this is a great candidate for Elva's Corruption Chamber. What you would want to do here, if you wanted to upgrade these in the Corruption Chamber, you will actually care a bit about the item level of the Presence of Chayula that you've got. So you'll see here that this is item level 85, and this one's 84. 84 and 85 ones can get any Val implicit mods on them that exist. So there is a single corruption that requires item level 84 plus, and that is increased item quantity. Then there is another corruption which requires item level 80, and that is plus 1% to all maximum resistances. These 2 corruptions are both very, very, very good. And so I would suggest if you're going to 2 implicit corrupt Presence of Chayula, firstly apply whatever catalyst you think is appropriate, then go and 2 implicit corrupt it. If you do hit a monster, then and only then do you go ahead and apply an anointment to it. And you should just apply the anointment you personally want to use. If you're looking to trade it to other players, those other players will just pick up their own tainted oil and they will use it. There's also a number of other good options for corruptions as well, and they sort of scale the entire level range. So really, I suggest that you 2 implicit corrupt ones that are 80 and up, so that you can get these 2 top end corrupts, rather than trying to set an exact level underneath that in order to lock out some of the possibilities. There are some pretty mediocre corruptions as well. At level 50, a bunch of elemental damage is leached as life mods come online, and it wouldn't be bad to avoid those. But the reason that I suggest using a maximum level 1 is that there's also another really good high level corruption, and that is you can apply an additional curse, which comes online at item level 60. That said, if you do want to lock out all of the life leech mods and things like Grant's level, I think it's 21 clarity, then what you want to do is start the process with an item level 49 or lower version of the Eye of Chayula, but you will want it to be at least 45. So 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. They remove a lot of the bad corruptions, but they do remove some of the good ones as well. Ultimately, though, that question is going to be entirely up to you. And I would suggest if you are going to 2 implicit corrupt these things, that you do your own research as well, just to make sure that you know all of the possible options that are there. That's all I got though on Presence of Chayula. If you've got comments or questions, definitely fire away below. I'm also looking for suggestions for additional uniques to cover in this series. I feel like I've covered most of the obvious ones, but there will definitely be ones that I am forgetting. The next one I'm planning though is the Darkness Enthroned, which is a very easy item to get your hands on. So that is going to come along no matter what. But after that, I'd like to get some more ideas from you guys. Thanks for your time, and may your Val Orbs have interesting results.